In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the rear brakes on this BMW 535i xDrive. These are going to be located behind the rear wheels. Let's get into it. I'm going to remove the wheel. Use a 17mm socket. Take the lug bolts out. Before I take the last one off, I'm going to hold the wheel on, take that one off, and pull the wheel off. I'm going to take the sensor out. I'm just going to use some needle nose pliers. Just pry that out. There is a little metal tab in there. If it doesn't come out with the sensor, you need to grab that with the needle nose pliers. Take the cap off the bleeder screw, and the wire from that. I'm going to take this spring clip off. I'm just going to use a straight blade screwdriver. Just get under here, get these two little pins out, and then pull that off. Now we're going to crack the bleeder screw free just so that it's easier later. I'm going to use an 11mm wrench. Just loosen this up, and then just snug it up so none of the brake fluid comes out. Remove the caps. I'll just use a straight blade screwdriver. Pop those off. Using a 7mm hex socket, we're going to take the caliper guide pins out. Grab the caliper, pull that off, take the brake pads and pull those out. Slide that one out of the piston. And using a brake caliper hanger, we're going to hang this from the coil spring. Using an 18mm socket, we're going to take these two caliper bracket bolts out. Slide the bracket out. I'm going to take this screw out so we can take the rotor off. Use a 6mm hex socket. Pull that screw out. Grab the rotor. Pull it off. If it's stuck on there, we're going to hit it with a hammer. There we go. Pop it loose and slide it right off. Take a wire brush. We just want to clean up any of the corrosion on the hub. Now I'm just going to use some anti-seize and put it on the hub surface so the rotor doesn't stick to the hub. Just a thin coat. Now we'll take some brake parts cleaner and just clean off the rotor surface. Clean the backside, wipe it with a rag. Spin it around, do the same on the front. And wipe it off. Now take the rotor, slide it on. You want to check the parking brake shoes. If you need to make adjustments, you can make that right here. Just use a screwdriver and turn the wheel one way or another. You want them just barely dragging. That's good. If they're too tight, loosen them up. Then you will put the screw in. And snug that down. Or just take the caliper bracket. We'll just use a wire brush. Just clean this up. Get any of the corrosion off. Flip it around. Do the same on this side. clean up the caliper guide pins, I'm just going to use a wire brush. Just clean these up a little bit. A little bit of gunk on there. Take some brake parts cleaner. Spray these down, wipe them down with a rag. Do the same on the other one. Spray those down. Take some silicone and we'll just lubricate the pins. You can use some brake caliper grease. Just a thin coat. Now take the bracket, slide that in place, take the bolts, get those started. Now we're going to torque these bolts to 49 foot-pounds. Now we're going to compress the caliper, take the hanger off using a caliper compressing tool. Just slide this in. Get that set up. Take the 11mm wrench, put it on the bleeder screw, and then using a hose just to keep it from making a mess, we'll loosen up the bleeder screw. Now we're going to compress the caliper. As you compress the caliper, the brake fluid's going to go through the hose. Just go nice and slow. See, this is going to prevent the fluid from going back into the master cylinder. And close the bleeder screw. Snug that up. Then you can take the hose off. And take the brake pad. Slide that into the piston with the clips. The other pad doesn't have any clips. That's just going to go on the bracket. Slide this over the bracket. Take the pins, get those started. Now torque these to 26 foot-pounds. Take the caps, push those on. Now snug down the bleeder screw. And clean it up with some brake parts cleaner or wipe it with a rag. And take the brake pad wear sensor. We're going to go around the cap, push the cap on. There we go. Then push it into the brake pad. Lock it in place. Take the clip, just line it up, and just push it in place. Now we're going to check the brake fluid level in the master cylinder. We're going to take some panels off. We're going to remove this weather strip, just pull up, out of the way. You can just move it out of the way or take it off completely. Using a 13mm socket, we're going to loosen up this wing nut. Just going to turn about 90 degrees. And then there's a little clip right here. Just take a straight blade screwdriver, get underneath that clip, pop that out. You can grab this panel, slide it up. That's where your cabin air filter is. Panel right here, take that out, just lift it up. I'm going to take this little lock off, just just going to use a straight blade screwdriver. There's a little lever right here. You can lift up on that, slide that out. Using the 13mm socket, loosen up this wing nut here. There's one right here, and then one right here. Just twist them to the left. There's a screw right here. I'm just going to use a Phillips head screwdriver. Take that screw out. Take that out. Grab this panel. Just slide it up, out of the way. And now you can check the brake fluid level and adjust accordingly. I'm going to wipe the top of the reservoir off just to make sure no dirt or debris gets in there when we take the cap off. Loosen up the cap. And we'll set that aside. And now we're going to add the new fluid. You can check right on the reservoir. It tells you what type of fluid to use. This vehicle says .4, so we're going to use this. And just fill it up. Make sure it's a new container of fluid. And there is a max line on the side here. So you want to fill it up to that max line. And we'll put the cap back on. Snug that. Get this lined up. Make sure that's in place. That looks good. Now take the screw. Get that lined up. Snug that down using the socket. Now tighten these wing nuts right there, all the way over here. That's good. This lock, line this up. Just push it, lock it in place. This cover, line this up. Get that in place. Cover for the cabin air filter. There's some ears on the back. You want to slide those right into those slots. And then tip it down. Take this bar, lock that down. Take the wing nut, just twist it 90 degrees. Now the weather strip, get this to line up. There we go. Take the wheel, install the wheel. Make sure it's lined up. Take the lug bolts, get those started. Snug those down. Now we're going to torque the lug nuts to 90 foot-pounds in a cross pattern to tighten the wheel down evenly. Just go around again, double check.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.